Good afternoon, friends. I'm doing another extreme grocery budget challenge. For this video, I'll have a budget of $25 to make dinners for the next 5 nights for my family of 3, which includes 2 adults and 1 toddler, and that averages out to $5 per dinner. I'll only be using the ingredients that I have on hand, with the exception of a few pantry staples. The first thing that I'm gonna do is go to the store to purchase the ingredients, and of course I'm gonna take you along with me, so let's head in store now. My first stop is at Aldi, and I was fortunate that I was able to come in the morning because I found this markdown on thin sliced chicken breast. That 30% off sticker will bring the cost of the chicken down to $3.77. The sell-by date is March 9th, but I'm shopping on March 7th, so I'll be sure to use this chicken in my first 2 dinners. Aldi has a great price on their ground mild Italian sausage. A pound is only $2.85. There's one more meat that I want to buy for this challenge, and I found it back in the refrigerated section. This pound of bacon is only $3.45, and if you know bacon prices, that is a good deal. It says on the package irregular slices, but that doesn't bother me because I'm just going to be cutting it up anyway in my recipes. Next, I'm picking up Parmesan cheese. This 6-ounce package is $2.15. That price is a little bit cheaper than Walmart's price, and I'll be using this in 2 recipes. I need kale for one of the meals that I'm going to make, but the only kale that they have here is an expensive bagged organic kind. Next, I'm picking up this 32-ounce carton of chicken broth. It's priced at $1.25. One of the meals that I'm going to be making is soup, if you haven't guessed that already. My next stop is the pasta section, and I looked around and there is no spaghetti in this store, so I won't be picking that up here. I saw a spot where it looked like it was, but those prices were pretty expensive, so I wouldn't have picked it up here anyway. Another thing that's pretty pricey here is a loaf of French bread. It's $1.69, so I'm not going to pick it up here. The next thing that I am picking up is a bag of frozen broccoli. It's priced at just 95 cents. And that's the last thing that I'm picking up here at Aldi. I'm going to go to Walmart next, which is on my way home. Getting the meat and cheese here at Aldi, and especially that chicken markdown, will definitely help my budget. I spent $14.42 here, which means that I have $10.58 left to spend at Walmart. I'm going to grab a cart and head straight to the produce section. This big bunch of kale is just 98 cents, which is a much better price than buying the pre-bag kind at Aldi. Next, I'm going to pick up an onion. They're 88 cents per pound. I don't need a very big one, and this one looks pretty small. I'm going to weigh it so I can get an accurate idea of how much it will cost. It looks like it's settled at 0.6, so this will be about 53 cents. Next, I'm going to pick up a big 5-pound bag of russet potatoes. It's priced at $2.97. I was going to pick up a bulb of bulk garlic, but there's none in my store, and picking up this 3-pack or that big bag would bust my budget, so I'm going to use some minced garlic that I have in my fridge already. I don't always have bread or rolls with dinner, but it's always a nice addition when I do, so I'm going to pick up this loaf of French bread, priced at just $1. Next, I'm going to grab this spaghetti that was not at Aldi, and thankfully here at Walmart it's just 82 cents for a 1-pound box. It's been that price for a long time. Thankfully, this isn't an item that's gone up with inflation. However, I was shocked when I went to the egg section because just a few weeks ago, a half dozen eggs was 87 cents, and now it's 91 cents. 4 cents isn't a big difference, but I remember just a few years ago, a half dozen eggs was only 50 cents. Of course, I checked to make sure none of them were cracked, and one of them was slightly cracked, so I'm going to get a new package. In my area, I've noticed that the prices of eggs and milk keep rising little by little, but the prices of a lot of pantry staples, like the spaghetti, have stayed the same. Let me know in the comments below if you've been seeing this in your area as well. Next, I'm going to pick up a small container of heavy whipping cream, and unlike milk, I haven't noticed an increase in its price. It's $1.60. And this is the last thing that I absolutely have to cook the meals that I'm planning on making. My running total right now between what I purchased at Aldi and what's currently in my cart is $23.23, which means that I have $1.77 more to spend. I'm grabbing a can of green beans as a side for dinner. There's not a lot left, and several of these cans are dented. This one appears to be in good shape though. The Great Value brand green beans are just 54 cents per can. Since I have room in my budget, I'm going to grab this can of chicken broth priced at 50 cents. I was planning on watering down my soup and using part of the chicken broth that I bought for it in another recipe, but since I'm grabbing this can, I won't have to do that. You may be wondering why I didn't just buy a bigger container of chicken broth, but this 48-ounce container is $2.18, which is more than the $1.75 that I've spent on chicken broth, and also more chicken broth than I need for my recipes. The last thing that I'm going to pick up is a lemon priced at 60 cents. This will add a lot of flavor to one of the meals that I'm making. This is everything that I'm picking up at Walmart. My cart is pretty full, which is great considering I'm only spending a little bit over $10 in this store. I spent $10.48 to be exact. A couple things were a little bit higher than their signs, and this puts me 10 cents under budget. Now I'll head home and start cooking. I'm back home, and this is everything that I was able to pick up for my dinner challenge all together. I was able to pick up a lot of food, and I think I'm going to make some great dinners from all of this. I was 10 cents under my $25 budget. I spent $24.90 between Aldi and Walmart. And I scanned my receipt into Ibotta, my Walmart receipt, and I got back 20 cents. 10 cents was an any receipt offer, and then also 10 cents for any coffee creamer. So I think that this counted towards that. So that was a really nice bonus. Tonight I'm making chicken piccata, and it's awesome that I found thin sliced chicken on clearance, because if it was not thin sliced, then I would cut it in half widthwise to make it thinner. I'll be using a few pantry staples. I only need 2 tablespoons full of flour, and then also a little bit of minced garlic as well. The first thing that I'm going to do is start heating up the water for spaghetti. Then I juiced the lemon and reserved a couple of slices to use as garnish. Then I put the Parmesan cheese in my food processor to make it finely grated. Now I'm going to mix 2 tablespoons of it along with 2 tablespoons of the flour and some salt and pepper in a bowl, and I'm going to dredge the chicken in it. I'm going to make sure that both sides are well coated. And while I was doing this, my water started boiling, so I went ahead and added the spaghetti to the pot. Before I added the chicken to this pan, I put in some oil along with 2 tablespoons of butter. I have this set on medium-high heat, and I'll cook it for several minutes on both sides. I'm using my kitchen thermometer to make sure that the temperature has reached at least 165 degrees. And since both of them are cooked all the way through, I'm going to remove them from the pan and set them to the side and add more oil along with some garlic. Then I'm going to cook the garlic for about a minute until it becomes fragrant, and then I'm going to add in 1.25 cups of chicken broth. Right after the chicken broth, I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of the heavy whipping cream. A container of heavy whipping cream is only good in the fridge for about a week after you open it, so I always date mine after the first time that I use it. I have this on low-medium heat, and now I'm going to add in my salt and pepper. After that, I add in the rest of that grated Parmesan cheese, which is about 1/3 cup. The sauce has been simmering for a few minutes, and now I'm adding in the lemon juice. Then I added the chicken back to the pan, and I'm going to let it sit in here for about a minute. Once it's done, I serve it over the spaghetti noodles with a lot of sauce on top. I put the lemon on top as garnishment along with some dried parsley. I also have some of that French bread on the side. Dinner night 2 is super simple. I'm just having chicken, baked potatoes, and broccoli. I'm going to cook the chicken in the air fryer, so I'm going to spray it down with some olive oil. I've had this spray bottle for a while, and I keep refilling it because it's so convenient to use. This is the seasoning that I'm using, but garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika are all great seasonings on chicken. This is a microwave steamable bag, so I'm just going to be doing that with the broccoli. I sprayed the chicken down with oil and seasoned it on both sides. And now I'm going to stick it in my air fryer at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. And this is my complete dinner night too. I love how the chicken turns out whenever I cook it in the air fryer. I also could have pan fried the chicken since it's thin sliced or baked it in the oven. I want to add that I really enjoy that French bread. It is delicious toasted with a little bit of butter on top. For dinner on night 3, I'll be making pasta carbonara. I won't be using that entire package of bacon. I'll only be using 4 slices. And I'll only be using 2 eggs for this recipe. I'll be serving that can of green beans on the side, and you can always use bacon grease to flavor your green beans if you so choose. The recipe calls for 8 ounces of spaghetti, which I'm thinking is about 2/3 of the spaghetti that I have left in this box. Before I start cooking the bacon, I'm going to mix together half a cup of Parmesan cheese along with 2 eggs. I want to have this ready to add in when the time comes. Next, I'm going to cut up the bacon into small pieces. I was going to use this knife, but it wasn't working out well, so I ended up using kitchen scissors. I'm cooking the bacon in a pan, and once it becomes crispy, I add in a tablespoonful of minced garlic. About a minute after that, I add in my cooked pasta and the egg and Parmesan cheese mixture. At this point, I've already turned the heat down to low, and I'm combining this mixture quickly using kitchen tongs. You want to work fast because you want to avoid scrambled eggs or clumps of melted cheese. Now I'm going to season it with salt and pepper. And this is my dinner for night 3, pasta carbonara with green beans on the side and more of that toasted French bread. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of dried parsley on top. If I had fresh parsley, I would definitely use that instead. This is one of my favorite types of pasta, and I don't make this very often, so I'm definitely excited to have it now. Tonight I'm making Zuppa Tuscana, and we'll have it for dinner tonight and tomorrow night because it makes a bunch. So of these ingredients, this is half of that bunch of kale that I purchased. I'm going to use this entire package, 8 slices of bacon. The recipe calls for 4 large potatoes, but those potatoes are small, so I'm using more than that. I'm using this entire package, not this full package, and we'll have bread on the side. These are the pantry ingredients that I'm using. I'm only going to use like 2 tablespoons of the flour, a tablespoon of the garlic, and then flavoring with the salt and pepper and the red pepper flakes. I'll be using this just to cook the sausage. The first thing that I'm going to do is get all of these vegetables washed, chopped up, and ready to go. I have everything chopped up and ready to go, including the bacon. Now I'm going to put a squirt of oil in my Dutch oven and cook the ground sausage. I just cooked the sausage and I'm putting it to the side, and now I'm going to cook the bacon. Cook the bacon until it was crispy, and then I removed it. I put the bacon grease in this container, and I'm going to take a tablespoon and a half out and return it to the Dutch oven. And I'll save this in my fridge for flavoring things like beans, green beans, etc. I just added that whole chopped onion into the bacon grease. The onions have been cooking for a while, so now I'm going to add in the minced garlic. After the garlic, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of flour. And now I'm adding in this entire package of chicken broth. And I'm adding in these potatoes. I'm going to let them come up to a boil. Now that it's boiling, I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. The potatoes are tender, so even though the 15 minutes aren't up, I'm going to go ahead and add in the other ingredients. I'm going to add back the meat and then add in the cream and the kale. I'm waiting for the kale to wilt, and in the meantime, I'm going to add in my salt and pepper. And here's our dinners for nights 4 and 5. I added crushed red peppers to my husband's, but not to my daughter's or mine. This is my husband's favorite soup that I make, and I enjoy it a lot as well. I always show you guys the ingredients that I have left over at the end of the challenge, and this is what I have left over this time. I have 4 eggs, about 1/3 of a loaf of bread, a lot of potatoes, 2 slices of bacon, about 1/3 of a box of spaghetti, not very much heavy whipping cream, and about 1/3 of the bag of the Parmesan cheese. I could definitely make another couple of meals with the ingredients that I have left over. I can make a single serving of pasta carbonara with the remaining spaghetti, the 2 slices of bacon, an egg, and some of the Parmesan cheese. I can make Spanish tortillas with some of the potatoes and eggs, or I can make some French toast with the bread, the remaining heavy whipping cream, and an egg. Let me know in the comments below what you think I can make with these ingredients. And if you're interested in any of the recipes that I use, I'm going to link them in my description box below. So that was my 5 nights of $5 dinners challenge. I enjoyed all of these meals, and the only thing that I would do differently if I had a bigger budget would be to buy capers for the chicken piccata and also fresh instead of frozen vegetables. Let me know in the comments below if I should stick with this budget for my next video, or if I should do like I did in my dinner series last year and lower the budget down to $16 for 4 nights, which would be 4 nights of $4 dinners. I like the challenge of the lower budgets, but I feel like that $25 budget for 5 meals is very practical and easier to work with. If you enjoyed this video, I have done several of these in the past, and I will link a playlist in my description box below, as well as a pinned comment. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to do that. And as always, thank you for watching.
Check out my Instagram and TikTok. They are both at Amy Way to Save.